member for Edmonton Ellerslie.
Madam Chair, and I just want to say to the member from Edmonton South, wow, you totally convinced me that I'm going to vote for this amendment now. I was halfway through, I was thinking I was going to change my mind, right? But, Madam Chair, if you will indulge me, I'm going to do something that's a little bit unconventional, perhaps, for this House, not normally done. So I want to ask you to please bear with me for my time. I do promise you that I will bring it back to the amendment. I will bring it back to the amendment. So I'm just asking you for a little bit of indulgence as I share something with the people of the House. And I just want to preamble this by saying that the way that we share with one another in the House is, of course, by talking about our values. Talking about our values, sharing what we believe to be the way that we look at the world, and based on that, we support a particular ideology. And we support a particular way of helping people, working with people, doing things so that we decide on the policies that we want to move forward. So some of you in this House may know that in my previous life, I used to be a hip-hop artist. Some puzzled looks looking my way. They're like, oh my goodness, okay. But one of the pieces that I wrote that really exemplifies the values that I hold as a human being was a piece that I wrote to my son when he was born. And I want to share that all with you tonight. So please indulge me, Madam Chair. This piece is called Daddy Loves You. It seems like just yesterday your mama told me that you were on your way. My eyes welled up, tongue-tied, with nothing to say, but Mama knows that I was waiting for you every day. I couldn't wait to be a father and bring you up in the culture of our people, teaching you about treating everyone as equals no matter what their orientation. I thought about passing on my foundation that my father taught me, growing up in a foreign place as a refugee. All these things began to cross my mind as I worked every day, slave to the grind, and I finally felt like I had hope. The days passed and I began to cope, looking forward to the future. I didn't care if I was running up slope because now I had your mother and you to keep my heart from falling apart on the days that it was too hard. The days passed and soon you were on your way. I kept praying to God that everything would be okay. And it was the happiest day of my life to see you, born 9/05 on April 20th, and I knew that it was the beginning of a beautiful relationship. I imagine you as a young boy now, brushing the sweat from your brow on a warm summer's day, coming home from school on a Monday, telling me everything that you learned from the library books that you returned, because you know that education doesn't stop in the class and that every day you must surpass the level that you reached in the past, no matter what the subject, including respect and how to protect your mother, your baby cousins, and your brothers. Because by this time you know that life isn't fair and that there are people that don't share when it comes to knowledge or wealth, and that health isn't just about the body, but it's about the mind too, and that you can control what you do, that you can do anything that you want to, because we all have the power to respond positively or negatively to the things that we see and keep us from reaching our dreams, no matter how far out they seem. I may not make it to the day that you reach 20, so here are some words, contemplate them plenty, like the words of Tommy Douglas or Daniel Viglietti. Son, you and I are part of a history, and your people have worked strategically to make it to the place and time where we are. Your life is more than just about you. It's about our culture and what's true. Like that every single person needs to be free, live life in complete liberty. And that's the reason I struggle, we struggle, put the pieces together like a puzzle, because we're almost there. And never despair. And keep educating your mind and be aware, but most importantly, raise a family. Because we need people to become soldiers for the army of life. It's just because a group of people who live without thought and believe that freedom comes from the things that they bought, it's not that they're evil, they just don't know no better. But it's up to you to save this world, because if not you, then who? That's the message that was passed on to me, and now I pass it on to you, so that you can see that every single living thing in this world is connected. and needs to be respected. Don't ask me what's to be expected, because I'm still fighting the struggle and I don't know how to win. But I know that it starts from within, and that if we do this, you and I will be known men to the people in our lives that love us dearly. And this is my letter to you, signed sincerely, your father. Thank you for indulging me, Madam Chair. And the reason why I shared that is because it shares all the values that I believe in, the principles, the ideas. And I'll be the first one to tell you that I continue to be an idealist. I mean, you gotta be an idealist when you support the kind of ideology that I do. But you see at the underlying part of that ideology, and I think that this is where we all agree. And I'll tell you this. And one thing I want to share with you guys, especially you guys from rural areas, because I imagine that some of you like listening to country music. Heavy metal?
Heavy metal.
Okay, we got a heavy metal guy over there. I know that some of you rural guys like your country music. And the reason why I bring that up is because about 5 years ago, I started listening to country music. I never used to listen to country music before. But then I started listening to country music. There was a couple of songs that just kind of like really touched my heart. And I truly believe that at the end of the day, members of this house, we all want what's best for the people that we love in our lives. We all want what's best. We have different ways of getting there, right? So I want to appeal to you. I want to appeal to you and just know that we may not be wanting to get to the same place in the same way. But do know that as we're in this house, and what our constituents have asked us to do being here is to represent them. Now, I completely acknowledge that, the United Conservative Party got its majority. You guys are government. You all are government. You're doing your best. You're doing what you think is the right thing to do. But also know that we were elected by representatives to be in this house and be their voice. So I know that it may seem like a joke that it's 2:33 in the morning right now. People's eyes are starting to close. And we're debating and debating and debating, and we're talking and talking and talking. But we were elected to be here and represent those people. The good constituents of Edmonton-Ellerslie decided to put their faith and their trust in me. So it's my duty. It's my duty to get up in this house and talk and share with everybody what has been passed on to me by constituents. And the reality is that my constituents, I'll be the first one to tell you, you knock on the doors of Edmonton-Ellerslie and you see young families. And a lot of those young families, they care about affordable childcare here in the province of Alberta. Let me tell you that I had so many families tell me, Rod, to put my, member. They don't call me member. They don't call me member, they call me my name. But I'm just gonna parentheses, member. It costs me $1,200 to put one child in daycare. $1,200. Now, I want you to imagine a family that has 2 children, or even 3 children. Right? Affordable childcare is top priority for the people of Edmonton-Ellerslie. And I find it strange that nowhere in the throne speech that was even mentioned. Affordable childcare. Now I can bet, and I'm willing to put my life on it, that there's more ridings across this great province of Alberta where more families care about affordable childcare. I'm willing to bet on it, my life on it. So, although I incredibly respect where the United Conservative Party is coming from, and they're representing what they believe is to be the right thing to do, let's agree that not only people that believe in the priorities and the ideology of the United Conservative Party also live in this province. And our job is to govern together in this House, is to make sure that all those people are represented, to take a balanced, measured approach towards moving this province forward. So the amendment put forward by the member from Edmonton City Centre is attempting to do just that. Madam Chair, thanks for indulging me. I'm now on the amendment fully. It's you liked that, didn't you? Eh? I knew you were going to like it. Hey, nowhere else are you going to hear a spoken word piece at this time of the night. Nowhere. I honestly, that was my gift to all of you. That was my gift to all of you. Or else we're going to ask the member from Edmonton South to get up and speak again. Members, I say it in jest, but humbly, in all honesty, this amendment is about trying to put forward a more measured, balanced approach. Now, I remember being on the government side. I remember being a private member on the government side, and I can probably guess that the majority of you are going to end up voting this thing down. It's a guess. It's probably a good
educated guess.
But I'm trying to appeal to your good nature. I know that each and every one of you have the ability to listen to reason. My good friends and members of this House, this really is about trying to put forward a measured approach. And as was shared repeatedly by the member from Edmonton South, I'm just bugging. Why couldn't we attempt to, let's go to 10%. And then let's reevaluate what happens from there. Right? So the amendment being put forward by the member from Edmonton City Centre is proposing to do exactly that. Now, I remember the member from from Calgary Hayes was saying, oh, well, it sounds like the government is listening. What we're trying to do is meet you halfway. To be measured. To humbly accept that, yes, we understand where you as a government, where you as ideologically speaking, as the United Conservative Party want to go. We respect that. We understand that. We understand, and we understand what your objectives are. And by all means, I get it. We understand what your objectives are in terms of trying to create jobs in this province, trying to do, from what your perspective you believe to be the right thing to do. I'm not questioning that. But at the same time, it's imperative. It's imperative that you look at research and you look at data. And you see what's been happening in other jurisdictions where they put in a corporate tax cut of this nature. And I just want to share with you an article by Hugh Mackenzie called "Analysis Shows that UCP Plan Will Not Create Jobs." I repeat, will not create jobs or increase GDP or revenue. And in this article, Mr. Mackenzie states, and here I quote, "In general, corporate tax cuts are among the weakest forms of fiscal stimulus. That's because there's no direct impact. The tax savings don't go directly into the economy. They go into corporate income statements. And the indirect effects are widely dispersed throughout the Canadian economy and beyond." He goes on to state, "In the context of a balanced budget, the UCP's $1.75 billion corporate tax cut would have a significant negative effect on Alberta's GDP and jobs because the cuts would inevitably be concentrated on public sector employment and transfers to people. There is essentially a one-to-one direct impact on GDP. So the estimated net effect on the economy of UCP's proposed tax cut in the context of its balanced budget commitment is a decline in GDP of $2.7 billion and a loss of nearly 12,000 jobs." Now, granted, you may say, well, you know, we have our economists on our side that are saying that that's not true, that that's not how it's going to happen. All the more reason for us to accept this amendment. Let's accept this amendment. We're meeting you halfway. Let's go to 10%, and then we can reevaluate from there if the desired corporate tax cut that you're wanting to put forward will actually do what you think it will do. Once we go through a year, then we can reevaluate it and see if it's actually accomplishing your desired outcome. So, members of the House, I want to thank you for indulging me. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you a little bit about what my values are through that spoken word piece. And I'll finish off by saying that let's continue to respect each other. We don't necessarily believe in the same political ideology, but that doesn't mean that we can't show each other respect. And what's most important is that we always stand up for the dignity of the human person. Right? That's what true good governance is all about. So I ask us all, on both sides of the House, let's respect the fact that Albertans voted, and just because one party won government does not mean that all those others that did not vote for that party do not deserve to have their voice heard inside this House. And that's the job that my colleagues and I on this side of the House, the members representing the Alberta New Democratic Party, are doing here. So let's respect each other, let's hear each other out, and let's keep doing our best to make sure that all Albertans are represented. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.